Hello, and today we're going to be doing a fun take on habits. We're going to be using physics to help understand habits. Now, this is something very close to my heart because when I was in school, I was a very bad student, and one of the subjects that I thoroughly enjoyed was physics. And today we're going to be talking about Newton's first law, but I'm going to completely murder his equation. And if you're a physicist, I apologize, but we're going to be using physics to help understand habits. All right, are you ready? So the first law of Newton states that if there is a body that is at rest or in a continuous motion, that means it's moving at a continuous speed, then it takes another force to be able to either start that object or stop that object. And that's the funda of inertia. Whenever something is at rest, it takes a certain force to start the process of moving it. Now, many of us want to start making changes in our life, but the unfortunate thing is that we are at rest. There is absolutely no movement in a particular direction. If this object was moving, then the kind of force that would need to be applied would be lesser or different. But unfortunately, it's completely standstill. So the kind of force that you have to apply is huge. But the interesting thing is that the law of inertia does not have an equation. What it does is it only states that the mass is the only variable in this scheme. So the less mass an object has, the easier it is to overcome that inertia. The bigger the mass it is, or more the mass there is, the harder it is to overcome that inertia. So very often when we start trying to make changes in our life, we try and see, and that mass that's there in our life that we have to overcome is huge. It's very, very large. So as a result, it becomes very difficult to start the process going. There are so many times that we just want to try and make that change, but the process of starting it is just so difficult because we have to use so much effort because what we want to achieve is huge and we want to achieve everything right in the beginning as soon as we start. Now, instead, what if that huge mass was turned into just one small tiny pebble? Just one small tiny pebble. Then the amount of force that is required to just push that pebble is nothing. Instead of this huge boulder that you have to push and develop strong shoulder muscles, you just have to push against a small pebble. And that is how you should start thinking about it. It is not about how much effort that you should be putting into it. Put less effort, but make the goal also that you're trying to achieve, that mass, lesser. And you'll realize that the inertia is almost nothing. It's so easy to begin. And that's where I want us to start. But there's a problem with this as well. Because as soon as a mass is so small, the inertia is overcome because now you've pushed it. But because the mass is so small, it stops rolling also very fast. Right? If there is friction, if there is a force acting against it, it will slow down and it will stop rolling. Which is why when we start our habits, they end also very fast. So instead what you have to do is you have to learn a trick. Unlike a boulder or a rock, you have to think about your habits like a snowball. You must have seen in those cartoons, right? They throw a small snowball down the hill and it's this small when it starts, but by the end of that hill, it is this huge big avalanche that has been created. And that is what we have to do with our habits. We have to start them small, and then as they start rolling, we have to increase the size of this habit. And as the size of this habit increases, the difficulty in stopping it increases dramatically. So while this small snowball could have been stopped by just putting your foot on it, this humongous avalanche can knock down an entire building if it is there in front of it. Trees are nothing. So as a result, we have to start learning how to convert a small snowball of a habit into a large avalanche. And this is what I mean by growing with your habit. We often think about a habit as a static thing. I will drink 7 glasses of water. I will drink 7 glasses of water. No, you first start with a few glasses of water, 2, 3 glasses, and then slowly develop to 7, 8, 9 or whatever your goal is. And then once you achieve that, your momentum, a new word, your momentum is going to be so strong that nothing can stop you. Momentum is nothing but the velocity and the mass of that object. So the speed at which you're going or the mass. So the speed can be the number of times you repeat the habit in a week. So that gives your body that practice of repeating and doing the habit. And the mass is the size of the habit, the way that the habit has grown along with you. So think about what you are doing right now in these two contexts. The inertia of starting, because you're trying to do something very big and trying to start something huge instead of just taking that first small step. That first small step is a pebble compared to a boulder. And the second thing is, and as your habit starts rolling down the mountain, let it collect all the snow and eventually turn into this huge avalanche that is unstoppable. And that is the way to make a change in your life. Use physics after all. And I hope all the physicists out there aren't too pissed off with me for completely murdering the subject. But it's fun to see things from different perspectives. Now, I know I've spoken about, start small many times on this channel. But now every time you think of a pebble and you think of a rock, every time you think of pushing a car, think about your habits. And you will see that a lighter, small hatchback car is much easier to push than that huge bus that you were trying to start off with in any case. Alright? So start thinking of your habits in this way and you'll start seeing a change taking place, and ultimately that is what we want. Because the more changes that you can make consciously about the way and the direction you want your life to go, the better your life is going to be ultimately. Now, if you like this kind of a fun video with a different subject altogether, let me know in the comments below. How did I do in explaining it? Did I murder it? Was it okay? Let me know your thoughts. Do share this video with friends who would find it fun, would find it interesting and would like to understand habits in this different way. Also, if you're new to the channel, please hit subscribe and that little bell icon so you know when future videos are out. I am Ashdin Doctor, your habit coach, and remember, awesome lives, they start with awesome habits.